The European Parliament has threatened to introduce passport-based VPNs across the EU. The European Parliamentary Research Service has hinted at the possible de-anonymization of VPNs in the European Union. This was stated in a tweet the organization published last week. The EPRS is a think tank affiliated with the European Parliament that provides research and analysis to MEPs. It has been in existence for over 10 years. Among other things, the organization helps justify laws passed by the authorities. Recently, the EPRS published a tweet expressing concern that VPNs are increasingly being used to bypass online age verification. The organization suggested that, under the pretext of protecting children online, authorities should take action against the circumvention of blocks. The tweet included a link to a document released several months ago. Its author is a certain Maria del Mar Negredo Ashiaga. It is difficult to find information about this woman. A search by name yields only resources related to the European Parliament. It is unknown what position she actually holds within the European Parliament. The EPR's report states that VPN services allow users to bypass national identity verification requirements officially, age verification on websites with adult content. Officials cite only pornography as an example of such prohibited sites, although often the same laws prohibit the use of social media without showing one's face or presenting identification. The report does not contain a direct call for the introduction of passport-based VPNs across the European Union. Nevertheless, Negredo Ashiaga suggests that circumvention tools may fall under Article 28 of the infamous Digital Services Act, which already requires social media platforms to verify users' ages. She also suggests that the EU should adopt a single law restricting access to VPNs because without it, there is a risk of fragmentation of the internal market, which would lead to uneven levels of protection for minors across the EU. Pakistan has quietly allowed Iran to station military aircraft at its airfields. Despite its role as a mediator in the conflict with the U.S., according to CBS News sources, after Donald Trump announced a ceasefire with Iran in early April, Tehran sent several aircraft to the Pakistani Air Force's Nur Khan Air Base. At the same time, a senior Pakistani official denied these claims, telling CBS News that Nur Khan Air Base is located right in the center of the city, and a large fleet of aircraft cannot be hidden from public view. Islamabad is trying to navigate between the parties to the crisis, presenting itself to Washington as a mediator, while simultaneously avoiding steps that could alienate Tehran. In particular, Pakistan helped suspend the U.S. operation to unblock the Strait of Hormuz. Yet in April, the Pakistani Prime Minister worked on the text of his own call for peace in Iran, alongside forces acting in Washington's interests. In 2022, Zelenskyy was prepared to cede Donbas in order to end the war. This was revealed by Yulia Mendel, the former press secretary to the Ukrainian president. In an interview with American journalist Tucker Carlson, she claims that during the negotiations in Istanbul, Zelenskyy personally agreed to all the conditions, one of which was giving up Donbas. She learned this not from Zelenskyy himself, but from the people who represented Ukraine at the negotiations. Today, however, Zelenskyy states that he cannot give up Donbas. Mendel believes that this change in position speaks to his inconsistency. In other words, the war between Russia and Ukraine could have ended as early as 2022 if the leaders of the two countries had not made several fatal geopolitical mistakes. In November 2023, David Arakhamia, an advisor to the Office of the President of Ukraine, stated that negotiations between Ukraine and Russia in the spring of 2022 were nearing completion but were derailed by the arrival in Kyiv of former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Trump invites Elon Musk, Tim Cook, Larry Fink, and other CEOs to join China trip for Xi Summit. The executives will join Trump on the trip, during which he has said he hopes to secure a series of business deals and purchase agreements with Beijing. The summit agenda is expected to cover trade, artificial intelligence, export controls, Taiwan, and the Iran war, with both sides entering the talks after weeks of escalating tensions. If the meeting is successful, we can expect a de-escalation in U.S.-China relations, as well as lower oil prices and reduced trade tariffs between the two countries. Trump is considering the option of incorporating Venezuela into the United States in order to fully seize the country's oil reserves. Trump said in a phone call with Fox News that he is motivated by the estimated $40 trillion value of oil in Venezuela. In addition, the U.S. president, who will leave office in early 2029, believes he is popular in Venezuela, and this is another reason to make it another state. For Venezuela to become part of the United States, he would need the consent of the local parliament. Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has already stated that lawmakers are not considering this issue and that the country's residents value their independence. If Trump succeeds in his efforts, Venezuela will become the 51st state in the country. He has previously had similar plans regarding Canada and Greenland.